Hello, hi, hey, howdy. Welcome to Cover to Cover. You want something covered? I got you covered. Now, for those of you that are in tune with the previous episodes, we're currently covering the Korvac Saga that happened in Avengers between 167 and 177. Issues 167, 177. And gave you the origins in Thor Annual number 6. I'm trying to streamline this as best as possible so that I'm not just, going on and on and on about nothing before the video actually starts. Anyway, let me start the video. So last we left off, we dealt with Starhawk getting completely obliterated. That shit was fucking insane. If you haven't seen that, I suggest you go check that out first. Don't just jump right into the middle of the story because then you won't understand what the fuck is going on. Just saying. So let's go ahead and just start this bad boy now. Oh yeah, that's right. Steve got his back completely blown out by Wanda. I forgot. So where we left off, Steve is basically in the gym reminding himself not to give Wanda the same medicine he gave to Tony in the last issue. Uh which is that hard jab. And was it a jab? It was more like a hook. Kind of like stole off on the man real quick, like just Tony started talking at he didn't even really start talking that hot shit. He was just like, hey, look, I'm the chairman of this team. And then Steve was just like, fuck up. And shit was crazy. But then Wanda kind of like, she broke it up with the chair. It's still funny. It's still funny. She threw a chair between the two of them. Then she kind of went off on Steve. And he was like, fuck this. I don't need this shit. Anyway, so we leave off, or we start off where Steve is here basically doing a whole bunch of like training to keep himself in this physique and also to not steal off on Wanda. Right? Beast is there basically trying to get him to what's the word I'm looking for? Would it be reconcile? To realize that he took an L. He had to take that L. Captain America starts with the letter L. It's fine. While that's all going on, yeah, he does kind of like, he says some things where he's just like, where Beast is like, hey, aren't you getting tired? That position is a toughie. And then Steve goes, you're right. I'm tired enough to drop. I'm like, okay, My Chemical Romance called. They want their theme back, right? So you think some shit's about to happen until he kind of hits Hank with the okie doke. Hank being Beast. Those of you that don't know, Hank McCoy. But he hits him with the okie doke, lands on his feet safely, and then he just goes right over to the waist and just starts fucking lifting. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. Badass. Sweating and shit, badass. But Tony shows up, right? He shows up to basically have a powwow with Steve. But knowing Steve in this whole situation, he's the victim. So he has to play victim role and act like a complete and total douchebag. Right? So Iron Man, Tony lets Hank know, he's like, hey man, it's gonna be a one-on-one, so you can beat it. And Beast is like, bet. Well, I'm gonna show off right quick. Steve, let's see you do this. One hand, motherfucker. What you doing? but what ends up happening is when Tony tries to talk, Steve keeps cutting him off, basically saying, you're like, I don't feel like talking with you. He's playing the girlfriend in this role, and it's kind of sad. You looking at Steve, you're just like, bro, just man the fuck up. Stop being a bitch. But what he does is he goes on and on about Tony's invention. Steve not knowing that Tony is Iron Man. He goes on and on about this cool little device that he made called the mobile stun blaster, where it does like a whole bunch of cool ass like training and shit, like dodging shit and blocking shit and punching things, and it's a cool little device. It doesn't look all that cool. It just looks like a Final Fantasy VII villain or enemy. Anyway, he goes through all of this stuff where Iron Man, Tony is trying to basically let Steve know, hey, look, shit just went real south between the two of us real quick, and I'm just trying to like push all this shit to the fucking side. So after they kind of like have their after they have their little powwow or whatever, Steve and Tony, they kind of they get over all of it. And you see right here in this right panel, Tony's like, look, let me tell you about Mr. Stark real quick. I am, and he gets cut off by Steven's like, no, keep your secrets. And I think that's pretty key, right? That's pretty key because a lot of people, I know I'm going to keep referencing the movies because it's what normies know, but a lot of people see the movies and be like, oh, well, Tony revealed his identity at the end of the first. No, Tony never really revealed his identity until like way, way later. It wasn't like he didn't reveal his identity so recent, like before he even met the Avengers. That's what was really damning about that whole situation. It's just like, well, that's weird. Now how they're gonna spin this shit? Like how's it gonna go? Because you just took away one of the most quintessential features of who Iron Man is. That's like Pete showing up and is just like, hey guys, guess who it is? It's your boy from high school. What's good, Eddie? What's good, Flash? Like, y'all still want to talk that shit? Like, it's really weird, right? It's really stupid. But nonetheless, it goes on. You see Vision and Wonder Man playing chess, and Wanda here getting a drink from Jarvis while she just watch somebody getting their ass whipped. I don't know who it is specifically, but the phone rings. Wanda picks it up, and it's her it's her other boy toy outside of Vision. My man's Hawkeye. Look at him. Clueless as ever. I love this guy. He's so fucking amazing. Anyway, he lets Wanda know over the phone that some shit popped off over while he was on a train, and Two Gun just kind of like disappeared out of nowhere, like mid-sentence. It was weird. So they're going over that, and then we kind of like pan over to the Himalayas, essentially, where you find Pietro. Those you know, Quicksilver, right? And he's here talking with Crystal. Now, Crystal is a key character as well. She is the sister of Medusa, who is an Inhuman. So, take with that what you will. I might cover the Inhumans at some point. Actually, wouldn't mind it, just to get a little bit more. Of my boy Lockjaw. I love Lockjaw. He's one of my favorite characters in the Marvel universe. And he's a big ass dog. I love him. He just blinks all over the place. It's pretty cool. But holy shit, Pietro and Crystal, they're obviously lovers here, and they're having a conversation. He feels like something weird is going on, and like mid conversation, he just kind of like chalk outlines out of there, also gets blinked out, right? So basically we cut back to Wanda and Wasp. All these fucking dubs, bro. All these dubs. No, classic comics, a bunch of dubs. If Vision's name was spelled with two V's at the beginning, it'd be a anyway. Anyway, so we cut back to Wasp and Yellow Jacket showing up to the Avengers mansion, where they are, basically they're doing a whole like kind of like hero meetup thing where it's kind of like that whole roll call thing I was talking about in I believe the last episode. Yeah, the last episode where they all kind of like where the heroes converge, and then they just kind of do the whole like the little bit of non-superhero talk where they're just talking about, oh, look at my costume, it's really cool, and it's pretty cool. It's a nice little it's a nice little what would you call it, like humanistic side, I guess you can say. Nonetheless, we show up to Schmuck Mario, and Schmuck Mario is just basically saying, yeah, I got the thing, I'm trying to move it for you guys, where you want it, right? So Janet tells Wanda basically about how Hank's got this, Hank Pym, by the way, 3 Hanks, keep that in mind, Janet tells Wanda about how Hank has his robot that he's just trying to that she's trying to get out of the house. So they're just like, all right, well, let me show off this monstrosity. Look at this guy in his schnoz. Schmuck Mario right here. You'll see Schmuck Luigi in a second. Look, there's Schmuck Luigi right there. And what they're doing is basically kind of introducing, but reintroducing Jocasta, who is a creation of Ultron, who is a creation of Hank Pym. And they'll explain kind of her role later on in, I believe, this issue or next issue, but it's definitely in this video. So they're basically talking about what happened between themselves and Ultron, essentially. It's hard to believe that, it says it right there, it's hard to believe that a monster as cold and ruthless as Ultron could create anything beautiful. See that? That's beauty. Look at them curves. Robotic curves. Perfection. That's not perfection. It's damn good, though. Nonetheless, Schmuck Mario is just like, hey, man, look, we got to move this thing. I ain't got the time to just be wasting here talking to you because I'm no superhero, right? So Schmuck Mario and Schmuck Luigi start wheeling her into another location in the mansion. Excuse me. And what happens after that is we cut to young Vance Astro playing in the street like all good kids should be doing. When there's no traffic around, of course. So you see Vance's mother kind of scolding him. He's like, nah, not yet. It's still early, when the sun is completely down, the street lights are completely on. The streets look like they aren't there. That's how dark it is. So he's out playing with his friends. You see this, you see Neighborhood Watch in the back. You see, yeah, so basically, Vance is out here chilling out, maxing, relaxing, all cool with his friends. And Neighborhood Watch is in the back, just kind of holding his groceries like, okay, I gotta make sure this kid doesn't get into any trouble, right? So, what ends up happening is a truck is kind of like careening its way towards where they are. Just so happens the brakes are out and Vance is about to get hit until Neighborhood Watch, being those of you that haven't recognized Charlie 27 yet, Charlie stops the truck from basically flattening this guy. And you see here is like, Vance, thank God you're all right. It was a miracle. No way I should have been able to stop that short, right? That makes sense. Because, his well, I wouldn't say his brakes are shot, just more along the lines of, it's a fucking truck. It takes a lot to slow a truck down. But yeah, you see here, you maniac, you almost killed my son, blah, blah, this, that, and the other. This guy right here, fucking Vance, and messed up the whole space program. I'm going to be an astronaut someday. These two are scolding the man who was doing his job in the street while a couple of panels ago, this motherfucker was playing in the street. Like, who's really at fault here? Fucking entitled. Karen and Darren. Darren is Karen's kid. Fucking cutting back to the comic. Charlie shows, there's so many fucking names. Charlie shows back up to the house where the Guardians are, right? So you see Yondu, you see Nikki, Martin X over there in the corner, and you see Starhawk outside of costume, essentially. And Starhawk kind of looks menacing. He looks menacing. He's not menacing at all, but he just looks menacing. It's kind of crazy. I really like the art decision rather on Starhawk right there. Looks pretty cool. So we cut back to Schmuck Mario, Schmuck Luigi. Schmuck Luigi keeps staring at JoJo here, and he's just like he's like, yo, she looks like she's about to just start fucking moving, and then she wakes up and starts moving. Look at this guy. So she breaks through, right? Jocasta wakes up and she basically turns into TX from Rise of the Machines, and she ends up basically just like terminatoring her way to her man's, who's Ultron, essentially. So, these guys are hauling fucking tail till they get stopped by Yellow Jacket and the rest of the Avengers, and they're just like, hey, the fucking robot woke up. And they're just like, oh shit, yeah, no, we gotta stop that, right? So the Avengers jump into action. And they start moving. JoJo's just pressing buttons because she knows what the fuck she's doing. Because guess who created her, and guess who programmed her creator, or rather created her creator. Same shit. Anyway, what ends up happening is JoJo ends up walling the Avengers one by one. It's crazy how she just does it. She's like, all right, well, I'll close this door so that most of y'all can't get through. Right? So Simon's slamming on the wall. Wanda's like, okay, I can kind of like rework the material that or the atoms, molecules, whatever, that this door is made out of, and give us passage, essentially. And Simon's just like, you know what? Yeah, I'll just keep wailing on the door until you can do that. So the ones that could get through, Wasp, Yellow Jacket, and Vision, they show up. JoJo's doing her thing where she's just like, she's still going through until she starts talking. And it is essentially a robotic voice of Janet, which is you can see in her face here is like, holy shit, that's my voice. And Hank is like, yeah, but it's cold, metallic, right? Essentially, what well, we'll get to that bit. I'll explain why that is. I mean, aside from the fact that if you put two and two together, well, yeah, Ultron was created by Hank, and we'll get to it. It's a lot of explaining. So Vision tries to essentially shut her down from inside. And you know how you can go incorporeal and just phase through things. He tries to like shut her down that way until he realizes, oh shit, Ultron reworked some shit, right? He's going to solidify himself, dematerialize his hand. He's going to solidify his dematerialized hand, and when he to basically disrupt her circuits until he realizes, oh shit, well, I guess there's an L I'm about to hold, because she basically what Ultron did was he built a countermeasure to basically all the Avengers, right? So Vision tries his thing, and he's just like, nope, that ain't happening. Gets shut down, and these three are still trying to get through. B shows up and he's just like, yeah, I don't know what the fuck is going on, but we got to get through to here. And Simon just fucking like here. Wanda says, okay, I can basically rework the she's like, I can rework the door, and Simon's like, nah, me and this door, we got a fucking grudge. He says it right there. He got a personal grudge going right now, and he just slams through the wall. It's pretty fucking cool. And what happens is they catch up to a Vision, who is kind of like, he's currently in taser mode, right? His tasers are set from stunned to comatose, not killed, just comatose. So they try to go help him. He's like, nah, stay back, because if you touch me, well, yeah, it says it right there, instant death. Look at that, it is set from stun to kill. Nonetheless, he has a cooldown. He's basically saying, guys, I'll be all right, but, just don't touch me until a certain amount of time has passed over, and then I'll be good. So they start going, the rest of the Avengers start going after JoJo, and she's just being a fucking dickhead. You can see her, she's just knocking shit over. It's not even in her way. The fuck the flowers do to you? The fuck did JoJo, you need to be put down. Bad JoJo. But, basically what ends up happening is Janet is afraid to attack JoJo because she sounds just like Janet, right? Hank is like, all right, well, I'll see what I can do, right? So they're just like, okay, well, we'll just keep using like the low power stuff to kind of like slow her down, and it's working to a degree until Hank gets snatched up, right? Hank gets snatched up. You can see his little baby form right here getting snatched up by JoJo's metal hand. And Wasp is like, okay, well, you got to get free. Like, you got to do what you got to do. And she just starts crushing the dude, kind of like Goku and Vegeta when Vegeta turned into a monkey. And what happens is Beast shows up, And then like, like Liu Kang like flying kicks the robot over. Just kicks JoJo over, and she's like, "Oh, I ain't having none of that shit," right? So she just starts lighting up at the eyeballs, blasts Beast in the fucking noggin, and puts him down. Not permanently, but just kind of like takes him out of the fight. And you see Simon getting worked up, and he's going to pull up on her until she throws up a barrier to keep herself from getting hit, keep him from getting in, and she just blasts him through some fucking trees. And now Wasp works up the gumption to be like, nah, I'm sick of you and your bullshit attacking my fucking friends. I don't care if you do sound like me. You gonna sound like death when I'm done with you. You ain't gonna sound off at all, motherfucker. And she just starts going at her, right? So the Avengers are trying their fucking best, right? Beast gets dropped, Simon gets stopped, Wanda hugs JoJo with a fucking tree, but JoJo didn't consent to that at all. So she just breaks through all of that shit. So, you know, they seem to have met their match to a degree. And what ends up happening is Cap up on top. Just in the fucking shadows. It's weird. It's goofy. But Cap and Tony, fuck it, Cap and Tony, y'all know who I'm talking about. Steve and Tony, they show up, and Tony's saying, "Hey, yeah, no, don't attack her. Let her go, right?" So what ends up happening is Thor shows up. Like Thor just kind of shows up out of nowhere. He's just like, "Oh shit, something's attacking my friends. So I'm gonna attack that thing that's attacking my friends, right?" And Steve's like, "Oh shit, well let's not let that happen." What he does is throws his shield, and it fucking stops Mjolnir. Some fucking how. That's crazy. See, people who you know pay attention to the comics and stuff, you'd understand how powerful Mjolnir is. You'd also understand how powerful the vibranium shield is, right? It's kind of like, well, they're both really unstoppable forces in a sense. Although Thor lives way more than Steve, so if he's throwing Mjolnir, they have like more force behind it than the shield. But nonetheless, that's fucking insane. I like that. It's just like, yo, Thor's about to put her down, and there's no stopping this until Steve whoom, throws the fucking shield, stops the hammer. And I'm just like, okay. And by a leap of fucking faith, Steve gets caught by his boyfriend. It's cute, whatever. Anyway, Thor touches down. He has the shield in hand. He's just like, what the fuck is going on? Why are you just letting her go? And then, basically, what Thor says here is like, what's been going on since I've been gone? And Beast is like, what do you mean since you've been gone? You were just here, right? So what ends up happening is Hank is questioning Tony. And Tony's just like, yeah, nah. She's making a beeline directly to Ultron. And does he say it in this issue? I think he does. Yeah, it's just like right here. He'll explain it. Where Tony says the sensors built into my armor have locked on a Tin Lizzy. Tin Lizzy is a better name than JoJo. Tin Lizzy. Tin Lizzy's electrical patterns. I can trace her anywhere. We're gonna give her a head start, and she's gonna lead us to Ultron. Yeah, see, it says it right there. So next issue in this video, right? In this video brings in Metal Skeletor. So, you know, stay tuned. There's no like intermission or anything like that. So issue 171 is actually really cool. I really like this issue. It's out of the entire saga. I wouldn't put it at like my favorite, but it's definitely like in the top 3 out of like all the issues. I don't know if you guys heard my alarm go off or my notification go off on my tablet. If you did, I'm not apologizing, but I should have turned that off. Nonetheless, we jump in with the Avengers basically chasing after JoJo. I'm going to call her JoJo. I like JoJo more than Tin Lizzy, personally. Even though Tin Lizzy is arguably a better name. So the Avengers are kind of like working their way through a crowd. Some interactions happen, which I thought was really cool, right? So they're kind of getting held up by the crowd too, and like you can see it here going on. It's like, hey, they're talking with the crowd, with people in the crowd. It's like, hey, what's going on? You got this officer on the horse. Is like, you mind explaining what's going on? And Vision's just kind of like flying through all of this shit, and he's just like, I'm avoiding all of that. Beast is getting hit on by redheads, blondes, brunettes, black girls, no Asians. I'm kind of mad at that. Like, he needs to get hit on by all the ladies, but like he's just getting hit on from like left and fucking right, and it's hilarious until he gets like yoinked up by Thor. He's like, look, man, we got a fucking job to do. Let's go. um so what ends up happening is excuse me, Wanda gets held up by this lady whose name I completely forgotten. She was part of the if I remember correctly, she was part of the pageant. No, she wasn't. She wasn't part of that fashion show. But she's basically complimenting Wanda on her magnificent frame, right? So Vision pulls up and is just like, baby girl, we gotta go. And she's like, I'm coming, my love. And then they're all just like, she just call that robot. All right. So basically what ends up happening is the lady kind of realizes she has a customer on hold. So she runs back inside, and this bitch right here is just basically like plotting, like, skeezy ass bitch. You plotting on the woman that gave you a job? That's crazy. It's fucking insane. Anyway, the Avengers make a safe bet that JoJo went through these walls here. So they just start going through the walls as well. They come out to where she should have been until they come across a bum who's just like, yeah, nah, I'm just gonna start saying some random shit like, oh yeah, the robot lady, sure, she took off with a penguin, right? And this is a good line right here, where Wanda's like, a penguin, what could he mean? And then I'm assuming this would be Tony. He's like, forget it, Wanda. This guy's best friend are pink elephants, and I'm just like, jeez, that's a colorful way of saying someone's off their fucking rocker, just drunk as shit, right? So what ends up is JoJo cheeses it with Sister Eucalypta, Nun, the penguin, essentially. So JoJo's in the card. I'm just trying to figure out, like, JoJo is robot. She's heavy. She's heavier than me. Now she's heavier than probably Kimbo Slice. How is the car not tilted unless she tilted the panel? Oh, that's clever. That's clever. That's just me that's me trying to make a joke. It failed. It's fine. Whatever. Not all jokes are meant to be fun. Anyway, Mrs. Pike, that's her name. I just remember seeing it in one of these panels. But Mrs. Pike, she runs back to these cheeks right here. Enter Carol, still a bitch Danvers. At least she isn't built like Mr. Man character. That's always a plus. So what ends up happening is, Mrs. Pike goes out to go get another outfit, and Carol gets this sense of some danger somewhere, right? So she ends up transforming and fucking cheesing it as well. Right? Just takes the fuck off. The Avengers are now playing Batman as a collective Batman, and they find, oh, well, here's some tracks, and let's just follow the tracks, see what happens, right? Then Carol shows up. Look, she looks like a woman. She doesn't look like this. She doesn't look like this at all. She looks better. Fucking hell, bring this back. Jeez. But she meets up with the Avengers. Carol, that is, meets up with the Avengers. And the Avengers are like, okay, well, we still got to go chase JoJo. So, big old face. So Hank shows up in a Disney ride. He shows up in the what do you call it? That fucking Disney ride? Is it Teacup Carousel or whatever the fuck that shit is? Somebody knows. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Fuck off. I don't go to Disneyland. But Hank shows up in the fucking teacup, and they all basically head to where Tony has a lock on JoJo. So the flyers fly. The ones who can't fly are sitting in they're sitting in the cup there. You can see Beast there. So they're kind of like they're moving along as they do, and what I think is really cool, right, is like they have a couple panels where Simon and Carol have like an interaction, and this is one of the like the more telling signs of what is a good character. What is good character development, right? So for most people who know Carol Danvers as she is, she's a complete and total cunt who swears up and down that she's the hottest shit on the fucking block. According to idiots, oh, she's the most powerful character in this, and no, she's not. Not even by a long shot. But basically, oh, she's going and she's fearless, this, that, and the other, so on and so forth. You see here, and I'm gonna read here, where Simon says to her, Miss Marvel, you seem to go at this sort of. I kind of want to do a Jersey accent since he's from New Jersey. He's just like, Miss Marvel, you seem to go at this sort of thing with, I don't know, a lust maybe. That isn't your fight. You could have easily avoided it. Do you like danger? I mean, I know what we're in for. And then Carol says, so do I, Wonder Man. And I'm scared to death. That shit fucking rung loudly. And she was like, I'm scared to fucking death, right? And she goes, I suppose I simply figure out what I'd do if I had no fear and then try to do it anyway. I presume every warrior does the same. That's good. That's good. If they put that in any of the Captain Marvel comics, I feel like it would have sold a little better. It wouldn't have been like, the greatest shit, but it would have sold better than whatever Kelly Sue DeCon bitch is doing. Or who was the other one? Kelly Thompson. The one that Eric doesn't like, Young Ripper. He hates her to fucking death. It's hilarious. By the way, go check out Young Ripper's stuff. He's really, really informed. Way more informed than I am, clearly. But nonetheless, she has a human side, right? Where she says, yeah, no, I do things because I have the ability to. Like, I have the ability over many other people, but don't get the game twisted. I'm just as fearful as the ones on the street who can't do anything. Like, I just go in with the ability to do it is all. And I'm just like, yo, that's kind of good. And it's all wrapped up in like 2 panels. That's crazy, right? I love it. I love shit like that. So, getting back into the comic. They show up to the church, essentially. The church where Sister Eucalypta took JoJo. And they all touch down. They all show up to the front door and they're just like, hey, so, yeah, we're looking for someone specifically. And Beast jumps the fuck up and just starts speaking Pig Latin with the sister here. And he has this really hard enthusiasm to basically be like the smartest person in the fucking panel, right? So he's like, let me explain. I don't speak Latin, so don't expect it. Oh boy. But they let them in. What I thought was pretty cool is that Thor took his helmet off. And it's like, it's a nice little attention to detail there. And you also see him here say, I wonder, verily, this house of Christian worship hath no regard for the Asgardian god of thunder. And Wanda's like, should it? And Thor says, nay, milady. E'en my father, mighty Odin, who is called all-powerful, doth lay no claim to supreme divinity. And yet 'twould seem that many mark my very existence as an affront to this edifice. And I was just like, well, shit. Look at that. Even though he reigns through as God of Thunder, he dared not intrude on what they believe is their truthful God. And it's like, bro, that's kind of cool. You don't see that in current comics. I'm gonna keep shitting on current comics because I don't like current comics. Almost current comics. Swordmaster is really good. Y'all should read that. But you see another Dr. Claw pop up, right? He's kind of like, what he does is while they're moving, he snatches Wanda. And that's when they all kind of flip out and it's like, the fuck is going on, right? Vision's just like, where's my wife, essentially. And now they're just like, all right, we got to figure out what's going on. And what ends up happening is Janet and Hank, they hear some shit going on behind the door here. So they go to open that door, and guess who it is? It's that boy Ultron. So now I can officially explain what JoJo's whole purpose here is. If I could do a metallic voice, I would. Eventually, I'll learn how to use effects and shit like that, and then it'll be really cool. Nonetheless, you see him here, and let me get a drink for this because I kind of want to do a voice. So Ultron says here, "You should be more concerned for your own safety, Father." Father being Yellow Jacket, of course. "As for my gain, as you so quaintly put it, you created me. I am your son. Do you not yet know the mind of your sole offspring? My desires are the same as ever. I want your death. I want your wife." That shit fucking threw me for a loop when I first heard that. You gotta sit there and be like, all right. Yo, he's trying to play Mr. Steel Girl. Oh, okay. Cool. But he says, "I want your death. I want your wife. And then I want the world. Your death will be but a moment's work. The world will be mine in time. And your wife? Weeks ago, Iron Man stopped me from completely draining the Wasp's life force into my metalloid bride body, and thereby converting my flesh and blood mother into a suitable mate." So, if you're reading into this correctly, old Steel Toes wants to kill his dad, graft his mom's conscience onto JoJo, make babies with said mom, and take over the fucking world. Hey, but it's fine. It's all fiction, right? Right? So basically, Ultron says here, I'm not gonna like read this bit in the voice, but basically he ends up saying here is like it worked out for the most part, but the only part that he couldn't get rid of was like that the human traits of Janet. So he has enough to basically work with what he's got, or he's got enough to be able to work. Yeah, he's got enough to basically work with something and basically get ahead. So essentially what he wanted to do was get the two Wasp and Yellow Jacket out of the picture before he enacted his plan, but he'll probably just move forward with what he has currently. So what he does is he essentially plays mind games with Hank here. And just kind of fucks with him, and then out of nowhere just blasts the man in the fucking face. In the fucking face. But you see here Ultron's plan failed because do you take us for idiots, Ultron? You think we'd come unprepared? You're fond of pointing out that I created you. Well, I also devised treatments to biochemically immunize us to your deadliest weapon. So that's pretty cool. We just had like a built-in failsafe. That's pretty cool. I like that. What ends up happening is Tony tells Wanda, holy shit, Carol, so many fucking names. Carol says she's gonna cheese it and go find Wanda, and Tony says yes, do that because there's enough for us. You know, Avengers attack. That happens, and you see them all kind of just like fucking barreling towards Ultron, and Ultron's like, yeah, no. All of you, sit down. Let me just hit you with this Mega Man beam real quick. So he kind of blows them back. The fight continues, and wouldn't you know it, Simon works up that gumption, gets that, he digs deep, finds that courage, and just steals off on Ultron, not even paying attention. Right? So we cut to where Wanda is, and she's basically in a funhouse, right? She gets a funhouse treatment. Basically, she's like trying to figure out what the fuck is real and what the fuck isn't. What ends up happening, she falls through the floor, and just falling for fucking ever, and ends up just splashing all over the place, caught in a whirlpool, thrown all over the fucking place, washed up, and shit like that, and they just drop her right back in the room in a pile of questionable liquids. So she gets up, and now she's kind of in fear herself. Like, she doesn't know what's real and what's not. So she just kind of sits still. And I thought that was really cool. You know, someone who's essentially a reality warper doesn't know what the fuck to do because she doesn't know what she can rework and what she can. That was pretty cool. Right? That's a pretty cool a pretty cool tactic. So what ends up happening is you cut back to the fight where Simon is just laying fucking work steel toes here. So he's doing his thing, throws them through some stuff, and they all just kind of pull up and was like, "Yeah, nah, we about to put the fucking work on you." And he's and they just get to work. They just get to work. You see a millionaire bouncing off of him. You see Yellow Jacket doing his thing, Vision doing his thing, Tony hitting him with the repulsors, Cap catching him with the hands, and he just kind of like bubbles all of them, right? Puts them all in essentially like a barrier that they can't like really break out of. So what ends up happening is we cut to Carol, who is flying around trying to find out where Wanda is, and then she kind of gets this, which I thought was pretty cool. She kind of has like a super cognizance, I guess you could call it, super perception, sixth sense. She calls it a seventh sense, if I'm remembering correctly. But what ends up happening is someone fires off at her. She just hits him with the fucking Tokyo drift dodge. Shit's crazy, right? She hits him with the Tokyo drift dodge and quite literally knocks Sister Eucalyptus' block off. Just a think, right? Head comes off and just like, oh shit, it's a fucking robot. So she comes to the door where there's some questionable liquids dripping from under it, and wouldn't you know it, that's basically where Wanda is, for those of you that haven't put two and two together. So they're trying to break through this barrier. I don't know why Steve and Hank are just like on the floor. I guess they might be tired, which makes zero sense. But whatever. Right? Ultron's like, yeah, y'all not gonna stop me. I'm gonna get my woman, right? So he's out here simping for JoJo. JoJo gets up and she's just like, oh, you're ugly. She didn't say ugly, but like, she's like, you are the man I love, and I am only here to serve you and do nothing else. Therefore, I will serve you these hands, right? She says here, though I desire with all my being to be one with you, I would first slay us both. I love you, and yet I know what you are. I must end your evil despite my desires. And it's just like, oh well, shit. That's a real bitch. So she kind of gets held up, and guess who shows up with the star of the show here, Wanda, who's officially pissed off. I personally like her with her hair down. I'm not a fan of that like muffin top she had going on prior. I like the hair down Wanda. She's a lot more attractive. I like hair down. It's fine. Anyway, so she puts the magic brakes. She beats the magic brakes off of Ultron, and what ends up happening is you can see him here kind of like falling apart. He's got cracks going along where his antenna is, and what ends up happening is the barrier weakens and Thor comes through a Mjolnir that can officially shoot laser beams. By the way, they don't use that. They should use that laser beam hammer. Yeah, I'm with it. So he essentially, Thor's, you can see here, it's something he doesn't do often, clearly. You know, he shoots the laser beam, the Mjolnir beam, and he says, "'Tis done. Yet such power cannot long be held in check. Stand away, Avengers." And he just flies the fuck out of there. Oh no, he doesn't fly the fuck out of there. My bad, I read that wrong. He throws the beam out into the middle of fucking space. And then it wraps up with Ultron completely decimated. Just blown the fuck away. Now, those of you that do read the comics, you know that there are multiple versions of Ultron. It's not just like, oh, multiverse Ultron. It's like there are different Ultrons built throughout essentially Ultron's timeline. So what ends up happening is they're like, yeah, Ultron's gone, and so is JoJo. Like JoJo just legitimately just disappeared, and they're just like, I don't know where she went. Normally she doesn't know what a fucking door is, so we would know or hear her leave clearly, right? And that's essentially where the issue wraps up. So this episode, I try to be a little bit more what would be the word I'm looking for? Expedient, I guess, with what I with basically going through the issue itself. Generally, or the issues rather, just generally to kind of like streamline it, make it a little bit easier for me to edit this video down and add stuff in. It's like, and by edit the video down, it's like I'm going from like an hour to 45, 50 minutes just about. So it's not a lot of editing necessarily, but I do kind of still have to like scrub through the whole thing to figure out what stays and what doesn't stay. Most of it stays clearly, like 90 something percent. Like 90% of the damn thing stays in, and then I add more. So it's kind of like, adding extra time. No, it doesn't really add more time onto it. Now I'm thinking about it. Nonetheless, this is what I meant in the previous video where I said the stakes are always high, right? Jocasta wakes up and she's just like, yeah, no, I got to make a beeline to my man. And she's just blasting through the Avengers Tower, stopping them, like putting them down. Essentially, basically turns Vision into a TOD monster. She puts Beast down in a way that's just kind of. It looks like she just took his whole fucking head off. It's crazy. And then Steve and Tony show up, and they're just like, yeah, no, don't hit her, don't attack her, stuff like that. So they think they've essentially turned against each other in a way. And that's what I mean by like the stakes are always high. It's like, what are they doing? Why are they getting in the way of the villain? Like, why are they letting the villain get away and this, that, and the other? And it's just like, oh shit, what's going on? And then you show up and you see Ultron, one of the biggest threats in Marvel. One of the biggest threats. There's also Kang the Conqueror. There's Kang the Conqueror. There's the Black Order, obviously, with Thanos as well. There's also MODOK when they actually write him correctly. Venom. And like a slew of other villains that you see a lot of the time. And they're just actual threats. Like, I'm not saying actual threats in the sense of like, Kingpin has control over like the entirety of New York. All right, that's fucking whatever. I'm talking like Doom shows up to fucking Wakanda out of nowhere and already has control over it before he even got there. That's what I mean. Like, what are you gonna do, T'Challa? What are you gonna do? What you got? You gonna render all the vibranium inert, thus probably plunging your entire civilization into poverty? Ooh. Oh, you actually did it. Bet. But the stakes are always high, and I like that. It gives you a reason to stay invested. Now, there's some people out there that are just like, yeah, no, I don't like these characters, so on and so forth. That's fine. That's fine. But, you still got to appreciate the fact that they're trying to make good stories. They're not just putting out trash for the sake of, sticking it to those fanboys or for this. They're creating comics because they want to create good things. They're not doing it to spite other people, right? That's essentially what actual fans of comics want. They don't want tripe. They want good stuff. Even if they do have cheesy one-liners, even if the action isn't as, boom, bam, appealing and stuff like that, they still want something that they can go, okay, this is something to get invested in. This is something good, right? And that's essentially what you're getting out of the Korvac Saga. Even though most of it has been more about like establishing who the Avengers are at this point, and you see in these two issues is just like, oh shit, we're fighting Ultron. What does Ultron have to do with the Korvac Saga? Who the fuck knows? We'll probably find out later in the in the saga if you guys haven't kept up. Nonetheless, thank you all for tuning in. there's usually something I say. And I'm not gonna give you the whole Susan Witwicky checklist of like, comment, all that, whatever. I will say that until the next episode, you guys stay safe. It's real in these streets, and take it easy.